This is Scarves and Spikes pretty much show us a Lady United gets set to take on Real Salt Lake here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Sydney and Tyler with you from the Benz. And Tyler, we finally made it back to the home ground here in downtown Atlanta after two losing efforts on the road. Hopefully we get a win tonight. How's it going?
Hopefully. Look at that grass back there, by the way. That grass looks
beautiful.
Good. It does. I hope it lasts. But, I mean, we've had this conversation. It'll go through a lot of different iterations between now and the World Cup. But it looks good. No, I want them to win. They need to get over the issues that they've had away. They got to come back here to home, and they got to score some goals and get back in the win column. It's been far too long since they've done either of those things.
I agree, indeed. Hello to those of you watching. Chris is watching from the MARTA station, Tyler. Waiting for the train to get up there. Justin enjoys the grass as well. He says it's nice. There it is. And it's a matter of upkeep, I guess, as you're heading at, Tyler. Sorry, I was just watching Inter Miami DC at M&T Bank Stadium in Miami. Almost made it 3-1. So that is still going on right now as we speak. But yeah, Tyler, here to talk about Atlanta United versus RSL. And while we wait for the lineups to come out, one thing I noticed about RSL is a young team. Very young team. I think it's like 23.7 years old was their average age of their starting 11 last week or something like
that. Yeah, and the thing is though, they're still playing like a pretty decent football team, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's kind of been interesting so far in this MLS season with a handful of teams that are putting out the young folks. They're playing really well against some teams that are putting out,
Red Bulls,
the prime age. Yeah, Red Bulls prime example. But these teams that are putting out, again, what Darth Lagerwey would have referred to as prime age players. Some of them DPs, and then you got these young guys that are coming out super hungry, and they're giving these quote unquote veterans a run for their money. And RSL's been one of those.
But one player we won't see is Diego Luna injured. Goes Smith should be hopeful. Don't know if we'll see him at the end of the month here at the Benz when Portugal and Belgium come to town. We'll see, but I know Pablo Mastrani was saying that we want to keep it. We'll just be careful as to how we bring him back because he might become part of that national team setup. But one player, Tyler, I wrote about on scarfsandspikes.com that I'll be keeping an eye on is Xavier Goza, homegrown for RSL, turning 18 years old here or 19 years old here in a couple of weeks. But one of those players, Tyler, that has built trust between himself and Pablo Mastrani and has emerged as a really good young player for them. Ranked number 10 on MLS's under 22 players. Been part of the U20 setup for the U.S. men's national team for the past several years here. Good player, and I have a feeling that if Lenny aren't careful, he can affect the match in a very negative way for Atlanta, I think.
Yeah, they can't sleep. Atlanta can't sleep on this RSL side, considering the youth, right? Like, I think it is long gone are the days where a team can go into, playing a match against, like you said, average age of like 22 or 23, and think the veterans are going to run all over them. That's not the case. And again, RSL's proved it. Red Bulls have proved it. There's been a few teams that are really rolling out youngsters and doing a really good job. And to your point, I mean, you've got a handful of players here that, as the lineup drops here, that they can affect the game, and you can't sleep on them. And I do think Atlanta does have the benefit of coming into this game extremely hungry because of the way the first two matches have gone. So hopefully I don't get caught sleeping.
Yeah, I'll say this real quick. It looks like we're about to get lineups here in a matter of seconds. Actually, hold that thought as lineups are out. So here's the starting 11, Tyler. Let's go through it together. Oyo's back in goal. Back playing the same. Baez, Barrocal, Mihai, Jacob. Couple of changes in midfield. Cooper Sanchez back in the lineup. Alzate, William Baugh getting his first start of the season. And then the forwards, Almiron, Moranchuk, and Latte Lot. So Saba is on the bench, starting tonight on the bench. Stian Gregerson again starting tonight on the bench. Amador starting tonight on the bench. Matias Carranza is available for selection, as we knew he would be leading into this match. And then, of course, Sergio Santos is on the bench. No, what's his name? No, Fafa Pico. No Fafa Pico on the bench for Atlanta United. But again, Stian on the bench and Saba on the bench as well to start the match. Some changes. We want some changes, right, in the starting 11, and we got them. So hopefully this turns out to be a little more, well, not a little more, but a lot more positive response for Atlanta United. So
I don't have it in front of me because I'm on my phone. But is Galarza in the sheet?
yeah, he's in the team. He's in the
Okay,
team
cool.
tonight.
I figured he would be. I hope we get to see him for a few minutes. And it's interesting because with Muyumba starting, that's one of your main changes in midfield. I wonder if it's Cooper Sanchez that comes out in favor of Galarza later on, or really it could be any of those three. But lots of confidence
Yeah.
in Cooper Sanchez from Tata Martino. So I mean, it's a good sign, I think, for the youth. I love that. And yeah, I mean, you got your three DPs on the pitch at the same time, starting a match for the first time in a very, very long time. So I'm here for it. It's time to go show what the $45 million is actually about instead of getting punked over and over again.
Yeah. I'm surprised about the Sanchez start again. But we mentioned with RSL just the youth that they have available to them, the youth that has played for them, or is currently playing for them. And Mastroeni said is a little concerned about how the young players would respond. I guess it's sort of, not sort of the same, but I guess you could transfer that over just a little bit to Sanchez because he's obviously has played in this building, right? But he's never played in the game like this in this building with extended time, affecting the first team in the minute that he has over the first few weeks. And question is, how does he respond?
I think he's got a good enough head on the shoulders that you got to expect, right? Like with any youth, you're going to have mistakes. That's normal. It's fair. You're not growing in the game if you don't have those moments. But I think he is that again. I had a benefit of you've had two matches, and they were away, so you got to get settled in a little bit. Now you're coming back home, and I think honestly, you might see him play with a chip on his shoulder. I think you might see a lot of the team play with a chip on their shoulder. At least if you're a fan, that's what you hope. But with these young guys, man, you know, the academy, they do a really good. So loud. They do a really good job of, you know, coaching these kids up to not take crap from anybody. They teach them, you know, to play as if they're adults as well. They don't back down from a fight. They don't back down from a challenge. And I think with Cooper, I like to think you see him feed off the energy tonight.
Yeah. Actually lied. It's not the same back lied as the first two matches. Haku is starting at right back instead of Fernandez, which we thought that Haku would be at right back. So I do have a couple of questions. First, I want to address what Justin said in the chat about Stian not starting again. You know, Henry and I were having this discussion earlier. Like, what do you do with Stian? I mean, it's clear that he rates Bernard Gal, he rates Mihai above Stian. But at this point, yeah, Stian as essentially a substitute making nearly $1 million. Well, not even a substitute because he's not playing, right? But I mean, what's the situation with him? I mean, it's really puzzling.
I mean, you got to think again, based on like what we reported, that there is still the opportunity that he's being shopped around, which at this point it's not like he can. You would have to use a buyout, but I think if the right team were there, you could make that move go a little more agreeable, right?
Big contract, though.
Yeah. And so I think, does it look good for him? No. Unless he's like nursing something weird that we don't know about, but he's been training, so it's not like that's an issue. But, we had reported back in December that there are a handful of players that were being shopped around, and he was one of them. That's not to say they were going to make the move if it didn't work, but it does tell you a lot about, like you said, what Tata rates in terms of his back line. And so I think it also tells you that the Better Call loan might end up becoming permanent. It would seem that way. But there's a long time still before they have to make that decision. So I don't know. It is very interesting, though, because he's one of your most athletic guys who can break glass in case of emergency, who can put out the fires in the back line. And Atlanta would have done really well to have him on the pitch in the first 2 matches.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. The only kind of blocker from him for him being traded is that contract, nearly $1 million. So you're not going to find many suitors across MLS willing to take on that contract for the rest of his term here. So I would imagine if there is a move to be made, it's outside of MLS. And I'll say to his injury history, of course. So I would imagine just a move outside the league at this point. My other thought was, where does Galaza fit in when he does get 90 minutes fit? We knew that Tomas was always going to be at the right back slot when Galaza got here. When Galaza gets 90 minutes fit, what do you do to the midfield? I imagine you take Sanchez out, like you were kind of talking about earlier. So you have a midfield of Galarza and I don't know, Mouimba for now until Jay gets healthy. Yeah, that's another question. What happens with Jay Fortune when he becomes 90 minutes fit? Or with Will Riley when he gets 90 minutes fit? So still some pieces to the puzzle that you need to figure out if you're Atlanta United at that midfield slot. But I feel like, what do you do? What do you do? Because there's going to be an odd man out, where it's going to be William Ball, where it's going to be Alzate, whether it's going to be someone else. So I think that, I'll say, I'm going to go back and say Alzate and Galarza are possibly your starting duo at midfield. I mean, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You got to figure out the best way to put the pieces together. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I haven't been super happy with the way Alzate's been playing in these first couple of matches, but especially not the last one. To be fair, I wasn't happy with anybody in the last match, but Alzate's got to be the connector. He's got to be, honestly, what Galarza we hope is going to be too. But if he does end up being one of that kind of midfield trio, if you will, they have to have a connection, and Alzate's got to step up. Cooper, he's living off straight up youth energy and vibes right now, so I'm cool with that. Muyumba, I said it, I reported it on the website and everything else on the show. Like, Muyumba to me was the best midfielder that I saw in the preseason, and so it was shocking to me when he didn't get the starts. Yeah. I hope he proves me right in this match, getting the start, because the last 2 matches he's come on so late that he hasn't been able to really impact the game that much. But it is a very, very tricky situation because you do have 2 other injured midfielders who are waiting for time to come back, and you want to give Jay a shot because Jay was one of your best midfielders over the past couple of seasons. Yeah. So it is going to be very, very tricky, but you don't play, and Tata's not going to play somebody just because they are who they are. If Alzate's not doing it, Alzate's got to sit on the bench. Simple as that.
Yeah, I feel like Alzate has a little less rope than the other midfielders because it's a Dyla player, a guy that Dyla brought in, the guy that Dyla was already familiar with. So if you're Alzate, you're starting from scratch, right? All the players are, but you're extra motivated because, again, you're not a guy. You're a guy that the previous coach brought in, so you try to impress the current coach to make sure you have a place in this team. Any final thoughts? I know we're coming up on like 15 minutes here, but any kind of final thoughts before you get out of here?
No, I mean, I think for me, I'm looking for the energy from the team. I'm looking for cohesiveness with the passing because it was non-existent last week. I'm looking for this team to thrive in front of the fans because they owe it to the fans at this point. The fans have showed up come hell or high water with the way that 2025 went and the way that this season has started. Um, they deserve a win, and the players need to give it to them. So if you don't get anything less than just like all gas, no brakes tonight, I'm going to be a little upset.
We're not doing spaces, right? After the match.
It's going to be tough. I don't know for sure. Keep an eye on Twitter or X.
Yeah.
We'll put it out if we do, but everybody's here, and I don't know that we'll be able to. So
we're doing 3 takeaways though, right after the match.
Yes.
So we're doing 3 takeaways after the match on YouTube. So tune in for that. We're doing the match reaction show 9 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow on YouTube, X, Instagram. So join us for that as well. I think that's it. Coverage after the match, of course, here on social, scarsandspikes.com, recap, ratings, and all of that good stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching.